All right, guys. So you took a look at Cambodia, and then you guys checked out what was next, Armenia, and now we are up to Rwanda. So Rwanda is kind of a unique case in this unit because Rwanda just occurred in the 90s, so it's more contemporary than a lot of the other examples. So we have, a lot of news clips, a lot of video, a lot of images and stuff like that to go along with this. So this kind of, this happened not too long ago. So I remember when this happened. So we have a different, amount of stuff and kind of different kinds of resources that we can go to really learn about this event. And we will make use of all of that. So Rwanda. All right, for starters, a little background about Rwanda. Rwanda is here. It is this little red country in Central Europe, Central Africa, right here. Okay. Now let's talk about the people inside of Rwanda. Inside of Rwanda, Rwanda is made up of two kind of tribes of people: the Hutu and the Tutsi. The majority of people in Rwanda are Hutu, about 85%, somewhere in the neighborhood of. About 15% of the people inside of Rwanda are Tutsi. Okay, so there's a majority Hutu and a minority Tutsi. Okay, and that's going to be the two different sides of this genocide, and we will talk about why. Well, in order to talk about why, we have to go way back in time to the age of imperialism and the Berlin Conference. When the Berlin Conference takes place, if you guys remember, the Berlin Conference was the meeting between European superpowers during the age of imperialism, where all of the powerful countries in Europe had a meeting, and they basically just carved up Africa as they saw fit, and so they could just strip all the resources and labor out of the land. Pretty disgusting period of human history, but it happened nonetheless. Well, during this time, Rwanda was under the control of Germany. Germany controlled kind of East Africa here. Fast forward to the 1900s. This falls under, after World War I, this falls under the control of Belgium. And when the Belgians are running Rwanda, they favor the Tutsi tribe, and the Tutsi are the minority. Only about 15% of the people in Rwanda are Tutsi, and they favor the Tutsi tribe, and they put Tutsi people in positions of power in Rwanda. And these Tutsi people, some of them, took advantage of that. The fact that they had the support of the mighty Belgians, and the Hutu were kind of at their mercy, and they took advantage of that power, some of them. And there was some mistreatment of Hutu at the hands of the Tutsi, and that passed. And those ethnic conflicts that existed under, in Rwanda when Belgium was in control is, a part of the story also. So eventually, once Rwanda gets its independence, this is all going to change, because now the Hutu majority, they are going to be the ones that are in power, and they're going to be the ones that have the prominent positions in government. And the Tutsi are, the 15% minority. They will become kind of subjugated by the Hutu, and the armed conflict will start from there. So, like we said, this goes all the way back to Berlin Conference, and you can blame Europe on this one. I think, first of all, the idea that more powerful countries just conquer less powerful countries with the idea of just straight up stealing their material and and taking control of large populations for their own economic benefit. This is like human rights violations, to the nth degree. It's really bad. But I mean, if these European countries kind of group these people together, Hutu and Tutsi, who classically don't get along, when they group these people together inside of the same country, using the boundaries that they just invent in the Berlin Conference, they're asking for trouble. So that's part of the story. You can probably argue that if when Europeans did get together, as despicable as it was, when Europeans do get together to draw up those boundaries, if they took into account the cultural, ethnic, tribal differences of the people in Africa and drew the boundaries accordingly, the genocide in Rwanda may not take place because Hutu and Tutsi may have been, separated into separate countries, and that may have changed the course of history. But needless to say, Europe doesn't really care about racial, ethnic, tribal differences when they establish those borders, so they kind of create this problem for themselves. Well, as Rwanda kind of gets its independence, they are left to their own devices to try to figure out these, tribal differences and how this is going to play out in government. So, as you move forward, you're going to see a bunch of different things. First of all, there's a video clip that I'm going to put up there, and this is kind of like a watch at your own risk kind of thing. This is a news broadcast that was aired publicly, but it does contain some graphic images. So if you prefer to not see that kind of stuff, feel free to skip it. It's fine by me. The other thing is, like, for me, the images are horrific, and a lot of the video is really tough to watch, but it really hits home as far as like how horrific this event really was, and it kind of makes it stick with you. So that's the impact it had for me. Maybe it'll be different for you, but like I said, if you don't want to see that stuff, feel free to skip it. You're also going to take a look at some political cartoons. You're going to take a look at an infographic and a document. So all of these different resources kind of give you a comprehensive view of the things that went on in Rwanda. And you can see kind of how this, they'll go over how the conflict starts and how it unfolds and what the impacts are as far as refugee crisis and things of that nature. So as you move on, if you need any help with the worksheet, I'm around. Just let me know, and I'll see you guys later. All right. Bye.